Hello, Emily.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am awake and have coffee.
Me too.
Nice.
About half gone. I'll have to go refill soon.
Same.
Wasn't for all these damn open source meetings, I can go refill my coffee.
I know.
Well, hello, Mr. Russo.
Salutations.
Hello, Sal.
Hey,
Hello.
Sal. Morning, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Please mark your attendance in the agenda. And if you have any items you'd wish to discuss, please add them under the open section.
If Glenn were in the States, I'd ask if he was just at a Long John Silver's restaurant.
Don't make me go down to the
This
basement and get my pirate hat.
is code for Gwen is still on vacation, as am I, so I might have to put on some kind of filter.
Take a nice one. They have a lot.
Right, folks, we'll give it just another minute or so to see who else pops in. If you have any requested items to talk about, put that under opens. In our section leads, if you could just give me a brief update on what your section's been up to, we'll talk about all that in a few moments. Oh, Emily, I got some news about our siren.
Yeah.
It might have a approved destination from Solar Designer.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. Great news early in the morning.
I know, right? Yeah, I was talking about some of our ideas with him, and he actually loved the idea of leveraging the lists and kind of expanding that. So Siren might have a home. Randall, sir.
I wanted to talk to you, Crow, about establishing an actual SKF channel in our Slack, because we have a lot of people like Abhishek who have asked me about like if we have like communications, and we do, but they're all like back channels. So we were wondering if we could get like an actual channel.
Randall, you know what my answer is going to be, right?
Email operations
Well,
and spell it correctly.
That's the second answer. The answer is it's open source. We can do anything if you can drink.
Whatever you want.
So yeah, we can get a channel. I don't know. I don't have the power to do that, but Khalil and Jory and everybody does. So yeah, just send the note and I'll put my rubber stamp on it.
Perfect. And Abhishek, so that's what we'll have is we'll get an SKF channel going where perfect.
And maybe call it Dream One SKF.
Okay.
So it kind of lines up.
Not the pirate ship.
Well, the pirate should be pretty cool.
All I'd recommend is if we're going to start to parse these on different parts of a single Slack, let's make sure that we pin at all the tops of the related Slacks, those co-related Slacks.
Fair. Good idea.
Information radiators, we want them, we need them.
Yeah, I stumbled on the pinning about a month ago. It's pretty cool. So all of my channels will have the agenda and then a link to the repo, but that's an excellent suggestion, Sal.
Okay.
And we should also put that into our
Notes.
the README for the SIG.
Okay. I'll make a pull request.
All right. It is 4 after the hour. Let us begin. Do we have any new friends today that wanted to introduce themselves to the group? All right. Can I get a volunteer to assist in scribing notes? Please. Oh, thank you, David. As always, everyone's welcome to help out. Let us kick off our call with a whirlwind tour of updates. Let's start with section 1. Dave, you want to give us an update on what has been going on with section 1?
So the focus of our section is primarily on getting the plan finalized, but I will throw in a plug for everyone to please continue to put more information into the spreadsheet as materials are identified that may be useful for our education purposes. I asked everyone at last week's meeting to please review everything that we've got in section 1. Open up PRs for any suggestions for changes. We want those no later than November 23rd. We will get those reviewed and merged in. And after that, myself and Crow will start going through, filling in any gaps and getting things meshed together with sections 2 and 3. So this actually sounds coherent when you present it to the TAC.
Any questions or comments for Dave on section 1? All right, let us move on to our in-house pirate. Glenn, what's up with section 2?
Yeah, so we've been working hard to fill in the content and the goals. I think we're around 90% done. Actually, we have planned for today and tomorrow a finalization of it. So then we should be able, to put it to rest and pass it through the final review draft. So
Excellent. Any questions for Glenn on section 2? Let us move over to Sal. Sal, any updates on section 3 for us?
Yeah, so this Thursday and Friday are my full days without any other jobs for a week. So I am trying to go through this. All the resources that we've gotten through on Slack have been really, really helpful. They give us what we know we can already lean on, and that are already typically tied to educational structures. So with that, my real hangup was up to this point defining exactly what levels we wanted that would co-coordinate across the different sort of personas that we had, but really understanding that it only has to be at that one application one. And that I was speaking to an academic recently, and they said, if you're writing an action plan, the only thing you have to know about the action plan is nothing that you say will get done in the action plan will get done the way you say it will. So that has given me some peace of mind because so many parts of part 3 are contingent. So what you're going to see by the end of tomorrow is a basic matrix at that top, going through the layers of education and badging for an AppSec, the ones that do correspond and that don't. And I'd like a review of that as we start pulling through those final pieces. But I think section 3 is pretty much as far as it can be without a little bit more tentative language. So around that tentative language, I'll highlight it and make sure we get some final responses for those. But again, if I have, so starting Thursday, as I start to have sort of comments, questions, I'm just going to have that dedicated sort of Slack conversation. You can feel free to fill in there.
Sal, are there specific areas that you're looking for a special attention to, feedback, anything like that? I noticed in the notes that you had annotated that it needs more attention.
Yeah, but that attention does mostly have to come from me, I think, at this time.
Okay.
So what I really want initial feedback on is when I provide that just base matrix, I want everyone to think about with their eyes on it. Yeah, that makes sense probably for AppSec, and we can follow that for the first year, but would there be any contingencies that we'd want to make sure that we had in place for a badging identity for a different persona? And as long as we have those, we don't have to build those year one, but we have the space for them.
Okay.
Just a note for section 1. I put in an item to consult with the Linux Foundation education folks and Cassidy. I'm going to try to reach out to her soon. I didn't have all these meetings today. I'll try to reach out to her soon just to get an idea. Like as Sal talked with an actual academic, I want to talk to somebody that actually does this for a living and kind of get their impressions before we finalize. Oh man, is that a beer?
No, God, this is a tea.
Oh man, I was
I
so
wish.
excited and so thirsty. Yeah, so I'll try to reach out to Cassidy and see if we can get some time with her. I'll invite everybody into a call if you want. Don't feel obligated to come, but just to kind of talk her through the plan and get her feedback before we'll formally engage with them as we get rolling. But I wanted to kind of get a sniff test from somebody that does this for a job, as opposed to people that pretend. All right, any questions or comments for Sal or any of the section leaders? Randall.
I just want to let everyone know that I am putting in the linter, the markdown linter. So if your PRs fail, you can contact me and we could figure out how to make them not fail. So just letting you guys know.
Excellent. All right, next up on our opens, we want to talk about the glossary content and style guide. I'm assuming, is that you, Abhishek?
Yeah. So I've been thinking about how to add more content to the glossary now that we agreed about the general structure of it. And I wanted to consult with the group here, what would be the best course of action to add more content to that?
That's a Glenn question, I think, at this point.
Oh shit, sorry, I was also adding an open to the thing, so you have to repeat it, I'm sorry.
Sure. So I was thinking about where should we get content to put into the glossary from? Currently we have from different sources. I guess I can make some kind of application to read more content and parse it to us, but I wanted to consult with the group what would be the best place to do.
Well, one of the sources that we actually also use a lot in, for example, SKF is the CWE metrics and data set they have, and they have actually multiple different sets. So I think that would be a great location to actually, get like definitions in, and I mean, most of the things you can actually plot one-on-one directly into the lexicon. They supply JSON, CVS, and XML formats and data sets. So I think if we have like, well, first analyze which type of data sets that are interesting to put in, and then maybe indeed create a GitHub action that we can automate and pull in updates from there easily. But I think that's a good starting point, at least to start there, because it's a lot of info, it's open data, and it's good quality data as well.
Are we ready to open up the call to the rest of the foundation seeking their input? So like, do we have do we want things submitted through a PR?
That's a great question. Maybe we'd like to first complete our work on the style guide before we do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that
what-
maybe we would benefit from an offsite or like an ad hoc meeting with the glossary people, because I know that there are a lot of people in different stages, so we can all align. So yeah. 'Cause I know Anthony's doing the front end basically, so like the actual search function and all that stuff. So
Yes, I'm doing that. So if you have any feedback or you want any help, just contact me. I'm in the Slack, so you can contact me there.
Do we want to have a glossary specific spinoff call this week or early next week?
yeah. Well, I'll start with the SKF channel and then we'll go from there.
All right. And whenever you're ready, let me know and we can write up a short process and I will send the note out to the foundation to get everyone to take a look at it and start to figure out contributions. But I agree. Let's get ourselves in order and understand how we want to intake things before we start getting a bunch of junk.
Yeah. I think that there's some sources like NISTs and whatnot that just should be in there no matter what. Like that should be almost like the foundation of the knowledge, even though I know it's US government and I know some people go ew, but I think that they do have good definitions for what it's worth. And then the CISSIP, I got that from one of your videos.
I've heard of it. I may be one of those.
I have one of those.
I got their terminology book or their glossary as well. Yeah.
Is that
Yep.
openly available though? I thought
Yeah,
that was
it
a
is.
paid.
It is. I Googled it. I Googled this. I saw him reading it in one of his videos. And I Googled it. I mean, this has terms that I need. And yeah.
Cool.
But yeah. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, well, I think from like the funding point of view, it's not going to be an issue to pull on another federal funding body. And as long as the education is openly available, it's also not an issue, right? So,
Right. Yeah, it's a great weekend read, Jeff.
yeah.
Super
Here's
easy.
to our weekends.
Yay.
Right.
All right. Any other questions or comments about the glossary before we move on?
I had a
Alright.
quick question about
Yes,
it.
please.
Where is the list of resources that we're pulling some of this information from? I can't seem to find it in any of the linked material.
So it's a combination of stuff, Emily. Right now we're kind of focusing, we were kind of building the plan around the ASVS, the WSTG, and David Wheeler's course for year one.
Okay.
Crobe also has a spreadsheet for ingestion of existing educational material.
Yeah, I'm bringing that up
We-
and just we do.
We. He kindly created it for us because he did go in. Him and Dave Rousseau went through a
Hit the
lot of
button.
detail to put that together.
So this is the basic sort of known security educational resources that we find. It's currently labeled by both type and also whether or not it's fully open. And in terms of security content that's actually fully open, definitionally, there's about 5 things that we have available. So
I saw that spreadsheet. I meant more specifically about the glossary of terms.
yeah, doesn't exist yet,
That's
does
in
it?
the that's in the repo.
If you look at issue 11, they talk about
Okay.
some of the sources.
Okay. Got it. All right. I have one, so I'll just add it on there. That's why I was asking. Thanks.
Awesome. Anything else? All right, Mr. Rousseau, you have a point of order.
I think I know the answer to this, but I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page. So we are getting to the point where we're starting to wrap up the final draft of the plan that's going to get presented up to the TAC. Is the intention, once that is done, for us to continue to execute on these objectives and milestones within our 3 sections? And yeah, well, the answer to that's going to lead to a couple other questions as far as how to coordinate planning and some of the dependencies that that are involved with the various tasks between the three sections.
That's a very good question. So we have kind of, I feel we have two choices ahead of us in trying to answer that. We can continue on and meet as we desire and continue to poke at these issues, poke at these milestones and start to achieve things with the understanding that the governing board may want to knack certain things or may out of hand say we don't like the plan, start over. So we would have to do rework. Or we could pause for a few weeks while the governing board reviews and they figure out how they're going to fund things. So it's kind of two choices that I think there are core things that we can do without funding anyway, or we would want to do without funding. But we know there are definitely some things we need money or people for. So I would leave it up to the group. We can decide how we want to continue. If you would like to still continue to meet, we can continue to have these calls, or we could pause for a bit. So table go. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I will just to point out, I think SKF will continue to meet and move forward. So unless Pirate Glenn has something different.
Sail off in the sunset.
Yeah, that plus with a bottle of rum, but no, I think indeed, a lot of the things that are on there were indeed already goals that we had. So we will continue to build a good base, do already some core rework on it. So we are actually ready for, if the board says yes, or when we had the pause. So we just keep continuing and prepping everything. So, if there is a yes, we actually are sort of at least ready in the starting blocks to continue actually. So
the way that I'd recommend wording this as we submit it is like, as you got that bleeding work before funding, call them recommended spikes. So in that case, as we're reaching out to the regulating or funding entity, we inform them of what our sort of triaged recommended spikes are that we're already starting on. The real risk reduction there is if they tell us something that like we're starting on is something that they're cutting off, they should inform us on those spikes. Everything else, they've got more time, and that it makes us look like we're showing initiative when in reality, it's a really nice way of backlogging grant work. But those recommended spikes, I would not recommend having more than 5 major recommended spikes, but highlight those as things that are ongoing that they can shut down or have more urgent communication around.
And I will say, like, things like us analyzing the existing content and identifying gaps. That's something that is free. It's just our time that we could continue to do that we may still wish to write additional content for anyway.
Yeah.
So I that's a good suggestion, Sal. Any other thoughts or comments? I had the pleasure of attending a all-day meeting on last Friday between the Open SSF governing board and TAC, where we talked about some strategic things for the foundation, some budgeting and planning things. And one of the things we did was conduct an exercise where the people that were there kind of talked through what they felt some of the most important things they wanted the foundation to achieve. And unsurprisingly, education was one of those areas. There was a thing titled the, was it 10 million developer uplift, David? There's a section that basically was educating and empowering developers. So just so we're aware that the governing board is very interested in this topic. It was one of the most popular things where they kind of stacked ranked things. Education was one of the most important things that they would like to help achieve in the coming year. So I feel if we have a reasonable plan, we may get edits or suggestions to change, but I feel that we're not going to have a tough road ahead of us. I feel that something is going to get approved because the governing board is very much behind that. An education on all levels, and it's, there's the tool development would be part of that, and a myriad of different things. But I think our plan is pretty all encompassing for what they were looking to get addressed. Any additional thoughts or comments on how we would like to proceed? So it sounds like we'll keep the meetings in place. I'll have the operations group extend I originally had them ending it towards the end of the year. So I'll have them extend it through first quarter. And, as we need to have the sub calls, great. If we don't, if we have nothing to talk about, feel free to knack them. And also I'll always be communicative in Slack.
And again, just a stress-inducing reminder, when does this have to be submitted?
There is no date, but given what I just told you, how the governing board feels this is one of the most important things they want to do,
Yeah, let's get it in.
sooner rather than later is better.
So there is a date. It's not a TAC governing board date. It is, however, a CROB date.
A CROB date was December 1st, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy, I'm working on another plan that I think will be a week or two ahead of this. So that'll kind of prime the pump, and I'll have some insights into how the process works a little better, I hope.
Cool.
The hammer of Crow drops on December 1st.
We'll see.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have a lot of work to do between now and then.
Yeah.
Speaking of a lot of work, could I ask everyone to draw your attention to section 1.1 of the open source security incident response team plan. This is another effort we've been conducting, and it may look hauntingly similar to something we're working on with this group, but I would like to have you take a peek down at the time and resource estimate table. So I'm proposing to the group for legibility and ease of me kind of coming through and cherry picking out all the things we need. Do we like this style of table that Randall put together to kind of show basically this is the bill for this 1.1 milestone, and then each section will have something similar to that as we move along. Do we like that format?
Yeah.
Well, I would say yes.
You
but
realize
not
that-
use it.
You realize that's not the latest, right? Just saying.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
If you would like to share the link to the latest, that would be great.
I was just
Right.
making sure.
I only have like 50 OpenSSF tabs open.
That's all good.
Super easy to move between them.
Yeah, Crow, this is the time and resource estimate table? In,
Yes.
What, okay,
Yes.
in the link.
I cleaned it up tremendously though. So give me a second. I'm gonna send it.
Please. Because I like looking at clean things.
There you go. And if you actually copy the settings in this repo, VS Code will automatically format the tables for you so that they look all silky smooth.
That's why we got the M1 checkmark things. I was like, where does this link to? I get it now. Cool.
So do we like this style, and do we want to adopt it for our plan as I go through with Dave and get our calculator out?
Yeah, it's already been somewhat co-opted, right? You've already embedded it. So let's do it.
And I can help as well.
Oh, you're going to. Is that okay? And like how he's leveraging footnotes. It looks nice. And I think will be, from an executive standpoint, when they look at the plan, it'll be easily decipherable for them.
It took a while to figure it out. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And
soft
let
coded.
me give you a tip. Let me give you actually a very good tip, because this is actually what unblocked me. Is I put the plan on an entirely separate page, and I started copying them over section by section. And like after saying like I'm good with this, like this is final, I got the next section and then like formatted it all. So that actually was really helpful. Just saying.
Nice.
Thank you.
I look forward to your assistance on the education plan.
Yep.
Dave
I'm
does
being-
too.
That's right.
Cool. All right. Any questions or comments for the table proposal?
The only question I would have is, so we do only total amount of hours. We're not pinning numbers to it, or because you were making the joke of, hey, let's grab the calculator, but
Yes, it's because in the CERT, remember the CERT is volunteer focused, and here in education, we have contractors. So my ideology was to put contractors in a separate table. So you
Hope
have
we have
volunteers and then contractors.
What was that, Dave?
I said, we hope we have contractors.
We hope.
Yes.
All right. So you'll see some exciting tableology coming to a plan near you. Glenn.
yeah, I just wanted to maybe ask and raise, after the 23, we actually should finalize everything, or do we already plan for a meeting today, or to see, the people who want to help and go over it, proofread it, make like live adjustments?
I have not formally set up anything like that. I've informally shared with the chair of the TAC and Brian Bellendorf, just to kind of get their initial impression. Like if they hated it, I would come screaming back and crying. So yes, I think that's a good idea. So for example, the best practices working group probably would be a great group to give a pre-read to. So looking at my calendar, if I can get things converted to the table more quickly, I feel we probably could do maybe like December 9th, have send it out sometime earlier that week, and then schedule a call December 9th to have kind of an open review session. Would that be okay with everybody?
Isn't that too late then, or?
It's not too late yet. If everybody gets their homework done by December 1st, that gives me a very busy weekend, but that gives us time that week, and we could find a different time. It's really dependent on how clean the plan is, and how much work I have to do to go through and fiddle with it. So if the changes are minimal from my standpoint, like as an editor, we potentially could do that as early as like Tuesday, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think at least for us, the idea was to have it done this week. So that is at least from section 2, because we also focus shifting a lot, because plan, SKF work, other stuff. Yeah. So we really want to have this thing done, and so our goal is this week. I don't know about Dave and Sal.
Well, let me just throw this out there. If the table's too much to worry about, don't worry about it. I could go in Chrome later and I can convert it into a table.
Yeah,
The table's not the bog. We are not going to have
Okay.
the content ready to go by next Tuesday for review.
Before, yeah.
But I think that the content for year one, somewhat, correct me if I'm wrong, we've already established that it's basically going to be the ASVS and David Wheeler's course, and I don't think we're going to add anything else, right? Just saying.
Yeah, so I think as leads, we've committed to getting a draft in by the end of this week. That gives us next week to be communicative, getting things pulled together in a way that then they can be integrated. And then this final week of November, I think we should all be involved at the narration stage, making sure that it makes sense, because the one challenge of this is keeping in mind how they're all interrelated to communicate the value. So that's going to be the challenge.
Oh, I forgot about that part. We have to write an introduction and connective tissue between everything.
Exactly. Yeah, and grant money is in the ligaments, not in the muscles. You want to show why everything has to be paid for, not just the big parts.
Very nice. So did that answer your question, Glenn? We will set up a call to have, we'll do SIG review first, then I'll do the working group. And then we'll send it out. So I'll figure out I'll shoot it out. I'll put it in Slack. I'll figure out some times and send proposals out to everybody to see if who is interested is available to help us review that. And so we'll have essentially a call like this where all of us read through and make suggestions. Then we'll have a call with the working group, which will be probably less hands-on. I wouldn't need to have everybody. Anyone's welcome, but I would definitely need the working group leads to help facilitate any feedback we get. All right, and I think, Dave, section 1 is further along than you may think.
Don't jinx me, man.
All right, let us talk about diving into target audiences and channels for training. Max, right?
Yeah, I can provide a bit more content here, I guess, context even. I'm sure I've just missed the conversations, but I'd love to get an idea of kind of who the target people are that we really want to reach and and get through this content. Particularly one of the things that I'm always thinking about is not who are the people who are chomping at the bit to get this anyway, but who are the people who are harder to reach. And that's often, where a lot of the kind of effort needs to go into. And then obviously the channels as well, right? Like how do we get to those people? Like what are the mechanisms to promote just love to just like learn a bit more about that, and I hope that's somewhere that we can help out as well.
If you take a look at section 1.3, those were the personas that we're starting to line up the content matrix to. So we're looking at just generically higher education, trade school, like boot camp professionals, people that are changing their jobs. We have primary, secondary kid folks. So here in the States, that's middle and high school. Looking for managers of software developers. We will have something where we need to train trainers. So that's kind of our working list right now. So those are generally the audience. We'll need to refine this a little bit. And then we will have channels with which the content gets output. The two main channels are, like right now, David Wheeler's secure coding fundamentals class, secure development fundamentals class, and then SKF. So we have like a traditional course, and then we have a hands-on lab tool. And then we're exploring an alternate third leg of the pillar, things like webinars, podcasts, alternative conference presentations, that type of stuff, alternative content delivery mechanisms. So we will, at some point, and I forget which part of the plan we were talking about that.
I know exactly where this is. So I believe this is 3.11, but a little bit of context around why Max is on the call. So what I've tried to provision is that there is money set aside to make this just one step different from any of the other training that I've seen, and that is to make it useful. And so following, I mean that though, I do. So I think working with, no, but I mean to
I
open
used to
source.
teach that class.
We want to have a demonstrable effect, and we need to be able to prove that we have an impact on hireability. We need to demonstrate value in order for hireability. So where Major League Hackathons, which is what Max is representing, will come into place is that at the end stage of education-based badging and training,
Mhm.
we then need a select number of them to take on a final stage of working with maintainers and open source projects to demonstrate that they can complete at least one security patch that is maintainer verified. And Major League Hackathons has a lot of background in helping to put together that coordination between maintainers without mentorship experience, but in desperate need of new contributors. And we're providing the endpoint to them of they don't have to create the security training. We provide that. We as an organization cannot handle those sort of like one-on-one sort of maintainer conversations. But that puts us in a place where we could, my end goal is to get a badge where I know not only does someone have the training, but they've put a patch in the same area from a maintainer who I trust, right? That's our form of trust and verification at this stage.
Okay, very nice.
I guess the bit I would add to that is that we've got about 1,500 early career developers that we're training to be open source contributors every year at the moment. So that is a great, great captive audience to push into this as a, right, you're an open source developer now, let's get you the next steps being a secure open source developer, which frankly, all of those should be going through, if I had my way anyway. And a lot of those people are from a range of backgrounds, university or otherwise, lots of underrepresented groups in there as well, which I think is, often young people are the hardest to get into this kind of stuff, and then particularly people who come from backgrounds where it's been more challenging to get their careers up and running.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So what do we need to do to help you make that happen? Do we need to, there are changes to the plan you feel we need to document? Are there
So this is getting embedded. I'm mostly waiting on a sort of, and we can do this in discussion, but from MLH, I need sort of a one pager. We're going to be borrowing from a platform education that they've developed around specifically upskilling people in SRE. So it's already sort of developer stage, but specialization. We're stealing that sort of
open sourcing?
Right. We're open sourcing that just template, and it's going and embedding we're embedding this in the badges section of rewards and incentives.
Okay.
Because very specifically in that space, the rewards and incentives need to be focused more on the maintainer than the actual contributor at that stage, right? I want to make sure they're paid for training someone up in that time. So that's where we will be locating it. But yeah, so I would love to have a final session or a conversation on Slack over next week, Max. If we're doing it on Slack, that'd be best because everyone can be involved on it. And then yeah, that one pager is all I need to be able to put a tentative plan, because for that maintainer contributor process, that's definitely year 2. So we need to have it tentatively latticed up against badges.
Yeah, sounds great. I think there's a fair bit of refining to do in that, which will shake out timelines and numbers and targets and all the rest of it. Christine, who's on here as well, has got some first-hand experience with the SRE program that we initially did with Meta as well. So yeah, let's get it on Slack, keep it open. Really appreciate it.
Excellent. Any additional questions or comments for Max's topic? One thing that just popped in my head, we have, again, the three-legged stool idea of content delivery. For that potpourri leg, is the group open to potentially doing something like a ask us anything, office hours style schedule of, the education SIG will hold a meeting once a quarter where anyone can come in and ask us secure development stuff, and we will help to, we might not be able to fix a problem, but we will definitely be able to help route developers to trying to find answers. Is that an interesting idea, Glenn?
Yeah, actually, we also included that in the section 2 goals.
Oh, did
To
you?
provide that support
We
and feedback.
actually started a Discord because this actually might tie into what you had to say, Max. We found out that JavaScript developers are very easy because they're very young. As in, they don't fight you about the knowledge. Some of the old guys, they'll start fighting. So we started a Discord because apparently in JavaScript, everybody's on Discord.
I need one more chat thing on right now.
We got to go where the cool people go.
It used to be cool.
I was never
Yeah.
cool.
The idea was
You're cool to me, David.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you.
yeah, the idea was to have like a Slack, Getter, and Discord as our channels where we can actually help people with questions or yeah.
So do we want to officially adopt some type of in our plan that we're going to do office hours, some type of periodic meetup, or have a facility like Discord or Slack open?
Absolutely.
I will see if I can figure out where to cram that officially.
And we also had a section indeed about public meetings about the whole education section. So publicly for everybody to come and chip in and drop ideas or collaborate, stuff like that. Because it wasn't very clear if this type of meeting would continue or not. But we just added it in the plan anyway, but yeah.
So also to give you guys a little bit of backstory, me and Anthony were very involved with Astro, and at Astro, we grew that out to like a 20,000 some odd community with basically a help channel where it's like, if your JavaScript breaks, come here, we'll help you. So we were thinking about a similar approach of like, hey, if you wanted to be secure and it broke, come here, we'll help you. Which I know, yeah, is a lot, but we thought about that too about JavaScript, but a lot of people will tell you it's not as bad as you think it is.
I just always get scared when people sign me up to be the help desk for the internet.
Yeah, well, what you'll notice is that like even in JavaScript, most people are using like the same 4 or 5 things. Like most questions come from the same stuff.
All right.
Sounds like we should write those down and point people to it.
Well, yeah, we right now, I think we're setting it all up, but yes, I think that would be good.
All right. Good call today. Any further topics we wish to discuss?
I have one. So we made a diagram of the ASVS. If Anthony, you want to share your screen, do you have it? The Google Drive link? Because I'm in the car.
Give me a second.
Us SKF boys stick together.
I see.
All under Captain Glenn.
I'm gonna go get my pirate hat out and my parrot.
You want to share your screen, Anthony?
Mm-hmm.
It should be in your SKF drive.
Mm-hmm.
If not, I could send the link to everyone.
It is loading now.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, so this is an example of what like the database would look like.
Oh.
And this is just ASVS.
I mean, it's a graph database.
Yeah, it is. But just giving examples,
Mm-hmm.
It's just Neo4j.
basically. But obviously this gets really crazy. We actually do have the database, but it's not very easy to show because it gets real crazy. But that's just ASVS. That's all the other thing I want to point out. We haven't checked in the WSTG or David's course, which we're expecting to do here shortly, which I don't know. It's going to be fun. See what it looks like.
Well, to me, the key is that you're trying to just bring things in an automated way, at least for the fundamentals course. And I presume for ASVS is all as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
We actually
So
have
that-
a CSV of ASVS that we're working. So like, in other words, we can import everything out of CSV documents. We can also do JSON. There's a few different formats.
Okay. But the key is as these get updated, you can update too.
Correct.
Yep.
So yeah,
Excellent.
I just wanted to show that so people could see.
Very nice. Any questions for Glenn and the SKF boys? You have to have
I mean,
t-shirts made.
I'd love
Yeah,
to
I mean,
this.
creating a graph-based database is in some sense the easy part. The trick is making sure it's actually useful.
Correct. We're expecting a lot of your input, David.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
so I mean, but we understand a lot of the constraints with this. So I mean, at this stage, if you can create just a subfolder in section 2 that is like our architecture folder, and we can make this a verified architecture at some point once we've built it. But I'd love to have that, and then little bullets of like known limitations, so that we do not lose track of what we cannot do with this moving forward, so we don't waste any time.
Yeah, yeah,
I-
we actually already have, of course, the whole architecture, and we have like an architectural overview of it with all the components in it. And basically,
Yeah.
our plan of approach here is that we, next to the existing old school database that we have currently, we're going to put Neo4j, the SKG component next to it. And actually, with the data that we then have in there, we are going to deprecate API calls and functions to the MySQL database from the API, basically replace them with the ones that we have the data in the SKG. So that diagram you saw before, that's basically us first putting in some raw data ourselves just to see how it works, what the relations are, the connections, the nodes, how they should look like. Yeah, so it's also a bit, that's why we do all this pre-work already to make sure that, yeah, when we're all ready to go, we have actually something working. So that is a bit how we are in it now.
well,
And
I'm
if you,
hoping.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm hoping that you're going to deprecate the current API to have a new API, not to have no API.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I just want to show this. This is just a small sample, and you can see here. These are the relationships, and these are all the nodes. A lot of nodes, and you can see the relationship when you zoom in. Just to show you, you can see this, and you can. I mean, it's not gonna show everything because it's gonna make everything super slow. I mean, in the browser. But yeah, everything has the relationship. Just want to show that up.
So basically, everything has a chapter, a section, and many subsections.
Yeah,
So
this is
you
like a
can
small
ask,
sample.
so you can run queries like, I want section 1, and it'll come back with all the subsections of section 1.
And hopefully some reasonable order.
Yes. Well, yeah, you're right. Well, but yes.
Yeah, this is something I'm actually serious. It's easy to create a graph database that's unordered, but a lot of these things are actually ordered. So
Yeah,
please make
so-
sure that for the ordered things, which are I think are most of them, that you provide an ordered return easily.
That's
Well,
that's good feedback. Thank you.
That's exactly, so when we submit this grant report, 1/3 of it is this platform, and they're gonna want to make sure that we've thought out the relationality of the platform before putting money towards it. We do not have to demonstrate the entire database, but I want to show them one level that goes all the way down to, all right, here's the node with the training and the spokes potentially for year 2 of language localization, so they understand that that is where that would step into that architecture. To my knowledge, I think that's the end point of what we would add on to it. So we only need to show that for one node, one educational line. But I'd love to demonstrate that to them. Even if it's a mock-up, it will be a mock-up. But that's a proof of concept that demonstrates visually what the entire section 2 shows us.
I think we could put that together, right, Glenn? That shouldn't be too difficult.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, I think what I would rather see is, why do this?
Right.
Some sort of, I don't think it should be that hard, but, some sort of demo of why, because otherwise you can just put it in a big markdown file. And I don't think that's what I know that's not what you're looking for, but it would be a lot clearer to show the alternatives.
Right. We're also envision that this API could be used for tooling, all sorts of stuff. I know a lot of people use it right now for the foundation of their security knowledge. So, yeah.
Alrighty.
Right. Any additional comments or thoughts about our awesome little graphic we're looking at? Any final thoughts or comments before we adjourn for today? I will see about updating the meeting invite to get the meeting agenda put in there. Shouldn't be a big task. I wish everybody a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see many of you potentially several times today. And if you need anything, please reach out via Slack or email. We'll all talk soon. Enjoy the rest of your days.
I do have something off topic, but I think everyone on this call might be able to help me. I am looking for any resources like CNCF, Kubernetes, threat modeling. If you have anything that comes to mind that's super useful or anyone I should talk to, Slack me, let me know.
Sal, hit me up afterwards.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Best practice badge, we have a short threat model, but if you want to take a look at it, you're welcome to. It's openly available.
Yeah, got it.
Judy Kelly from Red Hat, who's part of this group, also does a lot of work with threat modeling. You could chat with her.
Oh, Judy's great.
She's in Ireland, so she's time zone compatible to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thanks.